everybody, and welcome to Plaid Stallion's Toy Ventures. I'm Brian, your host, and if you follow this channel at all, you know one of my favorite things to collect are these vintage toy store flyers from the 70s and the 80s. One reason is they really don't take up a lot of space. I'm looking at you, Shogun Warriors. But the other reason is they're so connected to my childhood. Pouring through these pages bring me back to the days when these would arrive in our mailbox and I'd spend an entire afternoon looking through them. Always time well spent. For this episode, I want to show off a flyer that just arrived. It is from Canada, and it is the 1983 Consumers Distributing Toy Flyer, which is a big deal for me. Before we dig in, I want to briefly discuss Consumers Distributing and the influences it's had. The first Consumers Distributing store opened up in Canada in 1957, and it was a catalog showroom store, meaning you could browse their catalog, go to the store, fill out a form. The clerks would send it down a pneumatic tube to the warehouse, at least in my town, and a few moments later, your items would come rolling down that conveyor belt. It was essentially the 1970s version of Amazon, and I can tell you that the Consumers Distributing catalog was as highly anticipated in my household as the Sears catalog or anything else. They were known for having a fantastic toy section, and they were also really well known for having exclusives when that really wasn't the feared word it is in today's modern collecting circles. By the early 1980s, Consumers had not only spread across Canada, but had over 200 locations in the US as well, spanning from New Hampshire to California. And before Toys R Us came to Canada in 1984, we had a chain called Toy City, which was also created by Consumers Distributing. This made them a massive buying power for toys especially, and the first time I stepped in one of these shops, I was blown away by the selection. I saw stuff I never saw in any other stores. Consumers would ultimately crumble in 1996 thanks to increased competition, shifts in consumer habits, and, overall mismanagement of the company. However, their impact on Gen X toy collectors in Canada is obvious, as landing a vintage toy with that distinctive blue catalog stripe sticker can make you the envy of other collectors who even have the toy you got, but they want that sticker. I personally don't think I have anything in my collection with the blue sticker. However, luckily my friend Peter does, and he was willing to share, so I get to put together a little montage of his Consumers Distributing finds. So let's dig into this catalog from 1983, an amazing year for toys. Despite me being 12 when this came out, which meant that toys were largely on their way out, this piece takes me back to an amazing moment in time that I will never forget. There's a lot of personal connections to Consumers that I'll get into after, but let's get into a slideshow with this wonderful piece, and then I'll discuss a little more. Hang tight. Issue 13 of our magazine, Toy Ventures, is shipping this week, and it features articles on Aquaman toys, Mego's long-lost plans for 1983, and much, much more. You can find the info at the Plaid Stallion shop, and the link is below. Thank you for considering. I have a couple of real fun memories tied into this, and I wanted to go over them now. The first one is the Hasbro G.I. Joe section. I was a massive fan of the Marvel comic and the first couple of waves of the toy line. It was starting to wane for me, but I have a really happy memory of taking the bus with friends to the Oshawa Center and each of us picking out a G.I. Joe. It was that great period of time where you were not quite an adult, but not quite a kid, and you were able to go to the mall and have a little autonomy, and I just remember that day as being awesome. I believe I picked up Destro or Major Blood. I can't remember, but I do remember this began my lifelong habit of leaving a fake name on the tag, so the clerk had to yell out something ridiculous. And this is definitely when it started. It's pretty much a victimless prank. I mean, I paid for the item, and for all they know, my name was Sid Vicious. The other thing that's really special to me about consumers distributing, and I think a lot of you may be able to relate to this, is my grandmother kept these catalogs in her kitchen breakfast nook. All my life, I knew where to find the catalogs, and I spent a lot of time going through them as a kid and even as an adult. So I really associate consumers distributing with the happy memory of my grandmother's house. After she had passed, I cleaned out her house, and believe it or not, I found the very last consumers distributing catalog that was ever made right by her phone, and I've kept it ever since. So there you have it. That is my look at the 1983 consumers distributing catalog. What toy would you choose from this catalog to be reunited with? I think for me, it would be these Star Wars micro sets. I never had them as a kid, but I've always really admired them, and I think they're neat, and hey, they're on sale. Thank you as always for watching. If you're new to this, please consider hitting like and subscribe. We do this every week. I'll be back with another video next week. Until next time, be well and talk toys, not other people. Cheers.